Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting of the Pinetop-Lakeside Town Council to order. We do have a quorum. I would ask that you stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, and please remain standing for the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Curtis Patterson?
Our Father in heaven, we're grateful for the privilege to be able to meet together as a town council and to be able to decide and discuss the things that are of importance at this time. We ask thy choicest blessings to be upon all those who live within the Pinetop-Lakeside area. They may be safe in all that they do, that they will use wisdom and kindness and show love one to another. We ask thee to bless the council members and the mayor and vice mayor, that they'll be able to work together as a team and to be able to accomplish great things for the members of this town. We are so grateful for our country, for our many blessings, and for the opportunity we have to speak freely and to use our agency. We're grateful for all thou hast blessed us with, and these things we ask humbly in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. Item B on our agenda tonight is call to the public. This is a business meeting of the Town Council. The town values and welcomes public input. Please address the council as a whole and not individual council members. Do not address staff or members of the audience. Council action on items brought up in call to the public is limited by the open meeting law. Council may direct staff to study the matter and reschedule for further consideration at a later date. Items on the agenda will not be heard in call to the public, and individuals are limited to 3 minutes. We have no call to the public this evening, so we will move on to item C, which is our consent agenda. All items listed are considered routine matters and will be enacted by one motion of the council. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of council requests that an item or items be removed. Council members may ask questions without removal of the item from the consent agenda, and items removed are considered in their normal sequence unless called out of sequence. We have one item on our consent agenda tonight, which is the minutes of our most recent meeting. Vice Mayor?
Was there a change to the minutes?
Yes, that's been reflected. We all have that.
It's reflected in the minutes. So I would move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by raising your right hand. Thank you. That carries unanimously. Item D is business before the council. Public comment will be taken at the beginning of each agenda item after the subject has been announced by the mayor and explained by staff. Any citizen who wishes may speak one time for 5 minutes on each agenda item, either before or after council discussion. Questions from council members, however, may be directed to staff or a member of the public through the mayor at any time. Item D1 is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, October 2021 Proclamation. Whereas domestic violence is an issue affecting Arizonans in all communities, regardless of age, race, gender, economic status, religion, nationality, or educational background. And whereas more than 1.2 million women and men are victims of rape, physical violence, or stalking by an intimate partner in the United States every year, averaging 24 people per minute. And whereas 1 in 4 women and 1 in 10 men have experienced contact sexual violence, physical violence, and/or stalking by an intimate partner during their lifetime. And whereas 30% of children exposed to intimate partner violence had their first exposure before the age of 2, an additional 26% had their first exposure between the ages of 2 and 7. And whereas witnessing violence in the home during childhood is an adverse childhood experience, which without proper support may lead to a greater risk of lasting negative effects on health and well-being. And whereas victims of domestic violence are more likely to experience long-term mental and physical health concerns, including a higher risk of chronic disease, substance abuse, post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, anxiety, and risky behaviors. And whereas promoting healthy, respectful, and nonviolent relationships can help reduce the occurrence of intimate partner violence, support survivors, and lessen short and long-term harm on individuals, families, and communities. And whereas Domestic Violence Awareness Month provides an important opportunity to enhance education, prevention, and intervention efforts around domestic violence and support organizations and individuals who provide advocacy efforts, services, and assistance to victims. Now therefore I, Stephanie Irwin, Mayor of the Town of Pinetop-Lakeside, do hereby proclaim October 2021 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in the Town of Pinetop-Lakeside, and urge all citizens to increase their awareness and education of this destructive force, which deeply affects a large number of families in our town each year. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the seal of the Town of Pinetop-Lakeside, Arizona, done at the Town Hall of Pinetop-Lakeside this 21st day of October 2021. Item D2 is National Breast Cancer Awareness Month, October 2021. A proclamation. I've asked Councilor Krigbaum to read this one.
National Breast Cancer Awareness Month, October 2021. Whereas, during National Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we stand with the courageous women and men who have been diagnosed with breast cancer and honor those who have lost their battle to this terrible disease. As the second most common cancer afflicting women, an estimated 1 in 8 women will develop breast cancer over the course of their lifetime, and 281,550 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer in the United States in 2021. Cancer touches so many families across the country, including ours. It is up to all of us to continue fighting for a cure and to ensure that every American has access to the quality care they need. And whereas this year marks the 30th anniversary of the National Breast and Cervical Cancer Early Detection Program, which provides free breast and cervical cancer screenings to low-income, uninsured, and underinsured women in every state, as well as many tribal organizations and territories. Early detection is one of the most important strategies for treating breast cancer successfully, and regular screenings are the most reliable way to detect it early. The COVID-19 pandemic has disrupted many parts of our lives and has produced new deficits in breast cancer early detection. So there is renewed urgency to get these recommended screenings scheduled before a cancer has spread and becomes less treatable. And whereas the Affordable Care Act, ACA, has expanded coverage to millions of women who were previously uninsured, and has given millions of women access to preventive services, including screening tests such as mammograms with no out-of-pocket costs. Additionally, insurance companies can no longer discriminate against women with pre-existing conditions such as breast cancer. And as we observe National Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we are united in our commitment to ending breast cancer and improving the lives of all those affected by this illness. We applaud the advocates, medical professionals, researchers, and caregivers who dedicate their lives to making progress toward cures. This month, we stand in solidarity with breast cancer survivors across the country and reaffirm our commitment to advancing research efforts that deliver hope to patients everywhere. Now, therefore, I, for Stephanie Irwin, Mayor of the Town of Pinetop-Lakeside, hereby proclaim October 2021 as National Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I encourage citizens, government agencies, private businesses, and nonprofit organizations to join in activities that will increase awareness of what Americans can do to prevent and control breast cancer. in witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the seal of the town of Pinetop-Lakeside, Arizona, done at the Town Hall of Pinetop-Lakeside this 21st day of October, 2021.
Thank you, Councillor Kraigbaum. I think we all have little patches from the police department with the pink ribbon on them, so thank you. Item D3 is consider the appointment of James Brimhall to the Planning and Zoning Commission with a term ending July 2024. Community Development Director Jeremiah Lloyd is going to be on the phone for this, so have you?
I'm going to call him right now.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Buse.
Mayor and council, I need to recuse myself from this
The number
item
you have dialed has...
due to my relationship with this candidate, familial relationship with this candidate.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Buse.
So you know him?
I do.
The number you are calling is temporarily unavailable. Please...
Oh, dear.
He probably thinks it's vehicle warranty calls. Answering.
Maybe so.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is Jeremiah Lloyd.
Welcome, Jeremiah. We are on agenda item D3, so if you would like to present your candidate, please.
So on September 23rd and October 14th, the Planning and Zoning Commission interviewed 2 candidates, and on October 14th, the Commission voted to recommend to Council Mr. James Brimhall to be appointed for the position of Commission for a term of 3 years. Mr. Brimhall has extensive experience in economic development, and I think that he will aid in helping to make wise decisions on the Commission for years to come.
Thank you, Jeremiah. James, would you like to come up and introduce yourself, please, and tell us just a little about yourself?
Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members. James Brimhall, I grew up in Snowflake area. I went off to school, went over to Albuquerque for work, went to the University of New Mexico for my master's, worked over there for a couple of years, moved back home to be closer to family with my wife. She's from this area. And now I continue working from home for a company in Albuquerque, and I'm involved in NACOG and as well with the Economic Development Committee of NACOG. I participate in Real AZ, and I'm excited for this opportunity to be on the planning and zoning, to be more involved in like local areas and learn more about the planning and zoning aspects and the importance that they can play in economic development, and as well as just creating a better town for the citizens. So I'm excited to learn. I'm excited to be involved. I'm excited to reach out to the community, and I thank you for your time on this.
Thank you, James. Any questions or comments, Council?
Make a motion?
Councillor Hastings already got me.
Oh, all
Councillor
right.
Hastings?
Madam Mayor and Council, I move the approval of the appointment of James Brimhall to the Planning and Zoning Commission with a term ending July 2024.
Councillor Watson?
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to appoint James Brimhall to the Planning and Zoning Commission. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Thank you. Welcome, James. Thank you for putting yourself out there for us. We look forward to you working with Jeremiah and the rest of the team.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Anything else, Jeremiah?
That is all. Have a good evening, Mayor and Council.
Thank you. You as well. Moving then to item D4, which is consider the approval of resolution number 21-1594 and approval of one Arizona distribution of opioid settlement funds agreement between the state of Arizona and the town of Pinetop-Lakeside. Keith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor Smith, and Council. Tonight, I am bringing before you an item that has been discussed recently today at a joint meeting with the Apache County and Navajo County mayors and council members. And it's kind of as a way as a background, for quite some time, state and local governments have been litigating across the country, governments from across the country have been litigating against the opioid industry in response to their alleged unethical and illegal practices. Arizona is now completing the process to settle with some of the manufacturers and distributors. So as you may recall, last December, we brought a MOU titled the One Arizona Opioid Settlement Memorandum of Understanding, which provided a framework for distributing opioid settlement funds fairly and effectively throughout the state. Attorney General Mark Brownovich recently contacted Town Attorney Bill Sims and forwarded to him the attached letter describing their efforts and a copy of the One Arizona Distribution of Opioid Settlement Funds Agreement for council approval. So I'd like to just touch on a few of the highlights that are most pertinent to us. And number one, funds will be allocated to cities and towns through a regional structure. And you can look at the agreement on paragraph C3 on page 3. This continues the theme that was in the November 2020 MOU that the state will get 44% of the proceeds and all of the local jurisdictions get the remaining 56%. But the caveat on that one is, sounds good, but the local jurisdictions must pay all the attorneys first from the local jurisdiction's amounts. The state doesn't pay anything. The third bullet there, if the county you are in does not receive 100% participation from all cities and towns in the county, the county and its constituent cities and towns will lose 40% of the share allocable to the county. The funds lost by the county will be reallocated to the state and to the counties that obtained 100% participation from its cities and towns. This follows a pattern of last year's MOU by adopting this Hunger Games approach. Another way of saying peer pressure. As with last year's MOU in number 4, the state is only obligated to endeavor to use the funds it receives to address opioid issues. Local jurisdictions are required to use the funds for such purposes. Number 7, an additional 14.25% will be deducted from any settlement to cities and towns to fund the backstop fund. Number 8, must keep records of how funds are used to abate opioid-induced problems for 5 years. Number 9, must provide reports concerning how funds are expended to your region so that the region can submit an annual report by July 31st. Permitted uses are really targeted at the county public health departments, but cities and towns can look at the first responder category and also the work with our county attorneys to address criminal justice involved persons category. So our deadline to sign this agreement is November the 10th. And so once we have it, once it is approved, if it is approved tonight, then we will forward it on to the Attorney General's office. And we'll also send a copy to our county attorney and also to our town attorney. It mentions a required registration. That is with a separate settlement agreement that will come from the distributors and from Johnson & Johnson. And those will come directly to the mayor. I requested a hard copy rather than DocuSign because I didn't want it to get lost in junk mail or something like that. So, because we want to make sure we get it. So we requested a hard copy that the mayor will sign, and then we'll send back to them. And we have a deadline date of January the 2nd. So the state is tracking to make sure that each of the counties and the cities and towns are registering online to receive those separate settlement agreements. And for some reason, they showed that today that we had not, but I double-checked online and saw that when I tried to reinstitute the process, it showed that we had already signed for it. So we're good there. So entertain any questions?
So my question is about the backstop fund. If there are no legal expenses that have to be paid out of that, will that ultimately then come to us? Or I read this whole document and it's very
And it didn't
legally
spell that
confusing.
out. Yeah.
So do we know? I would kind of assume that would be the case, but
I would assume that would be the case and that it would come back. But then,
okay.
who wants to say they assumed?
Who's going to really drill down to this when you take the $500 million the state's getting and the county's getting, I think they said $500,000 today?
To the county?
It was a small amount. And we're
Yeah.
getting less than 5%.
Yeah, 4.75% is our portion. So,
Actually, that number that the county's getting, I think, is too low. But anyway, okay.
yeah.
I don't remember.
I had it on notes that I took at lunch, but I don't have it.
I don't remember exactly what he said. So anyway, any other questions or comments? Okay, I would entertain a motion then. Vice Mayor?
I move to approve resolution number 21-1594 in the One Arizona Distribution of Opioid Settlement Funds Agreement between the State of Arizona and the Town of Pinetop-Lakeside, and authorize Stephanie Irwin, Mayor, to execute all documents pertaining to the agreement.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 21-1594. Further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Thank you. That carries unanimously. Item D5 is reports from council committee liaisons and town manager. I think we'll start tonight with Councilor Kriegbaum.
Okay, Save Our Park has not been meeting. We are waiting to have the time in January that we will discuss land use for Woodland Lake Park, the rest of it. Is there any need for Save Our Park to be raising funds to buy more land? The Forefry has had 2 meetings that I have attended on Zoom, and I'm also on the monitoring board for Forefry, and I input the tracks time that we spend doing trails and restoring the trails after they do thinning. Natural Resources Working Group has also met by Zoom, and the industry is continuing. Thank goodness we have industry on the east side here that is continuing to thin the forest. The Forest Health Committee has not met. I have attended on Zoom Rainbow Lake. Homeowners are, well, it's people that care about Rainbow Lake and therefore Woodland Lake. And we are still having difficulties with the irrigation company. I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Kriegbaum. Councilor Buse.
Just on the Blue Ridge schools, approximately 2 weeks ago, there was a sharp increase in COVID cases in the school. And in fact, last week, the football game had to be canceled because several football players either, I think most of them had just been exposed to somebody with COVID. So they are, it's a go-ahead. The good news is it's a go-ahead for this week, I understand. So that's all I have to report.
Thank you. Councilor Hastings.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As most of you know, I'm pretty much passionate about the senior center. And I have tonight, at the end of my little report, which will be as short as possible, I'll give you really exciting news that we can't even imagine. I believe sincerely that as a door closes on the beloved Love Kitchen, another is opening. I believe that the senior center is not only creating running at full speed, even as many of our volunteers return to the valley. We're operating a thrift store. We're serving lunch in our center. We enjoy all sorts of activities, movies on the big screen, including fresh popcorn and lemonade, bingo with prizes, yoga, tai chi, hand and foot, even bridge. A sample of one of our Saturday barbecues is fundraiser. We had Vic the dog, the canine police dog, demonstrating his skills. He was the star of the library recently, and a little boy exiting the event said to me, "Vic is so smart, and he's bilingual too." True, he does understand English, but all his commands are done in a language the bad guys don't know. I think the Independent will be covering news, particularly in regard to tonight's meeting. And we have a Halloween and Thanksgiving with all the turkey and all the trimmings. The Needleworks group has designed, that's another activity, table decorations that are special, and all of us here are invited to enjoy the festive meals. You don't have to be 55 or over. We accept any age group for meals in the senior center. We have a lot of volunteer opportunities, including prep and serving and pick up after in the dining room, just like the council does once a month. They had 46 today. That's a full crowd for the traditional meatloaf and liver and onions. And it was served by the staff, and we thank you for that. A free lunch is enjoyed when you volunteer and you donate your time. And we have an educational program, and even this year, a gardening program called the Late Bloomers, obviously us seniors. Also this year, we've established a Tuesday and Thursday free food boxes to anyone in the community. Just bring ID and pass the box of vegetables, fruit, meat, milk, yogurt, cereal, sugar, salt, or forward it forward to a neighbor in need or a family in need. Our new community garden will be, I hope, an article in the Maverick magazine. I met with a woman yesterday who's the editor of SAME, and she and I are friends, and I asked for telling about our news at the senior center, which, and I'll begin with this little envelope. Brings us up to date on just the stats, which we served 523 meals in September. We had 150 meals the first week of October, which was outstanding. And we served 1,745 in just the last quarter. And we had 46 people today. Our info on supplying free meals reached $800 in our budget currently from one ad on the web. And that's for $5 allowed for any individual who comes in and is truly hungry. And we serve the food free to these individuals. The bad news about the roof leak, of course, is terrible. It ruined the carpeting, we thought, but Megan, our director, ran over with dozens of fans and mops, and everybody got together and we tried to soak up the car, and it looks beautiful. It looks cleaner than it was. So, but we do have investigators there, and we have estimators and people that are going to fix our roof, hopefully, so that we don't have to close. We did close for several days and then reopen when it was determined it was safe to do so. And we're continuing in that. Now the really great news. About 10 months ago, I was secretary of the board and not the president, and we opened our board meeting and she said, "I have a letter I want you to read as a secretary. You know, it's a contributor." I said, "Oh, yes, we do that all the time." And so I opened the letter and I read we were receiving a gift from an individual named Roy C. Glover, Glover, and his wife Charlotta. And it was between 80 and 100. It said on the letter 80-100. And I thought, that's odd. Wouldn't you get either 80 or 100? Doesn't make sense. And then I read the second line, it said 1,000. And we all sat in silence and said, between $80,000 and $100,000 donation. Can that be real? It can't be real. It's just a scam. It's not real. Well, it is real. And we've been waiting 10 months to receive our finalizing letters, and we have received the same. Actually, as the attorney, Brandon Rogers, who's my attorney, said, actually, those may not be exact. Might be less, or it could be more. It's more. In December, We will receive to the senior center $76,500. In April, we will receive $25,500. And we're dividing, which is available money now, a $90,000 IRA trust, which gives us $45,000. It is over $100,000 to us, almost $150,000. And there's still things, properties that are selling that will come into that. We're a nonprofit. They take care of the taxes on their end. And that comes into our budget. We are, to say the least, excited. We have all kinds of projects. The gardening group, which is run by 3 gentlemen that were first on the board, and then they divided off to do their thing in the garden. And we have a master gardener on board. He produced a beautiful bulletin. We have 11 raised beds currently. My project was sunflowers and hollyhocks, the only thing I remember that I might be able to grow. They grew to be 6 feet. My giant sunflower was like this. And however, when I went over to snip it, someone had taken it. That happens, I understand, in community gardens. I didn't like that part. But anyway, we're on a roll. And as I go back to the beginning, as the door closes on our beloved Love Kitchen, broke my heart. But another is open. I believe it to be the senior center. And I appreciate your attention to that and hope you will continue, as the city has done for several years in the past, with a sum of money to help us. We'll have our good times. We have great people, and we're very excited about the receipt of this. And we will be building in the garden area, perhaps what do you call those things, those arches, gazebo, some kind of an appropriate memorial to Mr. Glover, who none of us know. He was unknown to any of us many years back even. But what a wonderful man. He's given to hospice of this area, the senior center, and the Elks, which obviously he enjoyed. And it is real, and it's for us.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Hastings. That was a lot of information tonight. That's a wonderful, wonderful bequest.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor.
Nothing to report from Transit Advisory Council. We have not met since the last time I gave a report, so I would just add my thanks to the staff for stepping up and serving lunch today when we were all at another meeting. Thank you very much. And we serve now on a regular schedule the third Thursday of the month, which is Council Day. So next month, second council meeting, time to serve lunch. Thanks.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Councilor Watson?
No report, thanks.
Councilor Snitzer?
Trax is winding down. Our last trail work day will be Monday, and then we'll stop doing trail work until spring. We do continue to have monthly social meetings at Darby's on the second Saturday of the month, and we'll have a Christmas party right on Rainbow Lake at my sister's house on December 11th. We have applied for a very large grant to get bicycle gates, and I can't remember the number now. It's up into the low 40s to put bicycle gates throughout the forest so people can just, when they come up to a fence, they can get off their bike and go through the gate, get back on their bike, or just ride over a ramp and keep going. On the Nature Center, the things are still kind of kicking along. We were slowing down for winter, so we have curtailed our programs. The big thing that's happening now is the Raptor Show. We've just applied for an Arizona Office of Tourism grant for $250,000. It's a big deal, and most of that money would be used to build an amphitheater on the Nature Center site, an amphitheater that right now would hold 125 people with distancing, but would go to 250 people after we get through COVID. And that, if we get that, that'll become a community resource. So we can have, whatever, movies in the park, musical exhibitions, whatever. So it's a big opportunity. We've started to send out a newsletter about the owl. The people have a raptor show, and right now they're going to end up with, I think, right away with 7 animals, and they have 2 of them already sourced, a hawk and an owl, and the owl is the star of the show. The owl's name is Funky, short for Garfunkel. And we just sent out our first newsletter telling people what we're up to and asking for donations. And we got 2 donations. One donation was for about $20, and the next donation was for about $1,000. Well, it's exactly $1,000. So we're really pleased to see how people are, warming up to this idea of having a raptor show. It'll be, once they're up here and going, they will build pens. They will have training every morning from 7 o'clock until 10 o'clock, and that's free. So you can go there, watch the birds train, have some coffee and donuts, and just a nice, pleasant experience. So and then the shows will be more extensive, and also they will charge for the shows. But we think this will be a really big asset for our community, because the question is always, what is there to do? Well, here's something that we can do every day of the year, not just in the summer, but in the shoulder seasons, the fall and spring, and even in the winter. So it's a big deal for us.
Thank you, Councilor Snitzer. It goes to show the generosity of our community. I would like to report on the Barker Golf Tournament this past Saturday. We raised approximately $8,700, and we had some other donations, so we were able to write a check to the town for $10,000 towards the construction of the park. So that was quite a big chunk that we were able to pay down. I would also like to commend Annie and Christy and the rest of our staff for the color run that was a week and a half ago. That was so much fun. I've never seen some of our parks guys with bigger grins on their faces. And the public that were there, we want to do this again next year. So I think that's going to become an annual tradition. Just remind everybody that the Wall That Heals is coming this week. We still have some overnight shifts that need to be filled, so I hope that all the council members have the opportunity to try to volunteer in a shift. We've got help from the City of Show Low Public Works, our Public Works, and Navajo County in setting it up on Wednesday, because those panels, some of them weigh as much as 100 pounds. So I don't think most of us on the council can do that. Maybe Councilor Buse and Councilor Watson. Anyway, so that's going to be a very nice event. We appreciate the help from our neighbors. Last item, Councilor Buse kind of referenced it. The Blue Ridge Show Low football game is tomorrow night. Mayor Leach and I have a friendly little wager on this one. He has agreed to wear a purple Blue Ridge jersey should Blue Ridge prevail. And I have agreed to wear a Show Low Cougars green and gold jersey. I think he'll look better in purple, though. So I would encourage our team to do the best they can, and it's just friendly. It's going to be a great evening, so hopefully that they're all healthy. That's all I have to report, but Keith, what do you have for us tonight?
Thank you. The only thing I wanted to add to the Wall That Heals, 2 things. I do want to thank our staff, the council, and the community for their support of the Wall That Heals. The donations Tony's reported have been greater than what we had hoped for, and we appreciate the outpouring of support for volunteers to help construct the wall, tear it down, and to man the shifts through the 24-hour periods from the 28th until it is taken back down on Sunday the 31st at 2 o'clock. But one of the big things that's going to happen is at 2 o'clock on Tuesday, there will be a procession that will begin on the west side of Show Low at the Stake Center, and there'll be an escort with the truck, and it's if you've seen the post, you see a picture of what the truck looks like on the outside, and there'll be a motorcycle procession, veterans, and then also some military jeeps. And so we're hoping to line the streets from Show Low to Pinetop-Lakeside. It'll come right past here, it'll go up to Woodland Lake Road, and then it will turn and it'll make it back around to Woodland Road, where it'll turn into Mountain Meadow Park. There'll be a 2:45 arrival ceremony. Mayor Irwin will be saying a few words to welcome everybody there. And then Wednesday we begin the construction, and then it formally opens Thursday morning at 12:01 a.m. I think Tony has that shift. I have it Friday night, and Sunday morning also, graveyard. Nothing like working graveyard for Halloween. That's got to be appropriate. We'll be playing the Thriller song, I'm sure, so and things like that. But we'll have fun. But we're really excited, and this is, for me, I think back in school during the Vietnam War, and I was in 10th grade, and we just moved to Boulder City, Nevada, and the town turned out in a procession or a parade for a POW from Boulder City, Nevada that was coming home. And I just remember that and being, trying to be aware of what was going on and what that represented, and knowing better today what the POWs endured, and also the soldiers, because they didn't have the support of our country. So I'm grateful for the support that we can show to our veterans, to all of our veterans, but in particular for this one, the Vietnam veterans. And Mayor Irwin will be leading a ceremony on Saturday at 1 o'clock. It'll be a pinning ceremony for Vietnam veterans to come and receive a special pin. So this is another good event coming out of the COVID pandemic that we've been able to help to host. And just as Mayor Irwin said, we've had tremendous support, not just from the community of Pinetop-Lakeside, but from our neighbors throughout the White Mountains. So thank you.
Thank you, Keith. One more thing I failed to mention, our trunk or treat is Saturday from 6 to 8. It's at the Blue Ridge School campus. Melena Spillman is organizing that, and I think it'll be a very successful event. It always is, and always is a lot of fun. So that's also occurring this weekend. With that, there is no further business. I would ask the council to not get up, though, because we are going to do a little thank you to our first responders. So this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.